This is Brand Rescue, a marketing and PR podcast for businesses who want the real deal, not trendy fluff or complicated funnels. From PR to paid ads, we share free advice that actually works because mediocre marketing is so last season. If you're ready, your marketing comeback starts right now. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is a fun little cheeky episode for you. I've got my Nespresso in hand and ready to chat with y'all. I don't know if any Nespresso lovers out there, but I mean, I'm a coffee lover for sure, but I had a friend that I stayed with in Nashville, and she had an espresso machine, and God, she got me hooked on it. And so now, naturally, I have one myself, but those little pods are freaking expensive. I mean, well, I guess that's relative. Are they expensive? I mean, we're out here buying $6 Starbucks, so, but I have one every morning, and it is my kryptonite. So got a fresh Nespresso and ready to chat with y'all. Okay, so this is a hypothetical situation. I had someone ask me this question. I thought this was, it sparked a lot of conversation. It was pretty funny. So I was like, you know what, this would make a really good episode. And I would love to know what y'all think. So the question, the age-old, if you were trapped on a deserted island, what one food would you bring with you? What one tool would you bring with you? Someone asked me, what one piece of makeup would you use if you only had one piece of makeup for the rest of your life? These extreme questions. I have so much fun with this, okay? So this is a similar, if you only had one marketing tactic that you could focus on for a business to make it successful, what would you do? So remember, the word tactic, I hate using jargon because people even confuse what a strategy is versus a tactic. I always say this, remember this, tactic, T-A-C-T-I-C, tactic has the word act in it, right? A-C-T, it is an action. So a tactic is something you do, whether that's posting on social media, sending a press release, whatever, holding a press conference, sending an email blast. Those are tactics, right? Strategy is a level higher than that. Strategy is we're creating a partnership with a women's organization, and then you do tactics together as part of that partnership, right? Okay. Anyway, done with the schooling portion of this episode. So this is one marketing tactic alone. What I suggest, if a business could only do one thing to be successful. This goes against everything I say because as marketer and PR people, we always say you need an integrated approach, right? The word integrated marketing is becoming such a thing now. That's what I got my freaking master's degree in. And back then it was like a term that no one knew, integrated marketing. And now there are agencies that call themselves integrated marketing agencies. So it's becoming, and now there are tons of degrees. Back then, I think there were only 5 universities in the US that offered a integrated marketing communications, an IMC program. But anyway, this goes against everything I preach because I do fully believe businesses need an integrated approach. You got to have social, you got to have PR, you got to have traditional advertising, you got to have a mixture of things to be successful. And that's why this question really sparked a lot of convo. And I thought it was kind of fun. So here's what I picked. If I could suggest for a business to only do one thing and still be successful, it would be focus on reviews. Okay. So reviews really span every sector, right? Reviews can be good for physicians, for, people who make baskets. Reviews can be good for, why am I drawing a blank? Literally any business, hairstylists, photographers, products, services, anything. We rely on reviews so aggressively. And if you really want to think about it, there are businesses that have like crap websites. They have ridiculously poor social media or maybe no social media. Even sometimes think about like these hole in the wall restaurants that are grungy as hell. they're sketchy, but they're crushing it because they have killer reviews. So I think reviews right now, if I had to pick one thing, I would go with reviews, because I always tell clients, we can say how fantastic we are as a business all day long. But when everyone else is saying how fantastic you are, that's what actually moves the needle, right? So even, and think about it, a website, social media, all those things are platforms that we put out information. Now, social, it's a two-way conversation, but you are touting yourself, you are putting yourself out there. But reviews is someone else took the time to sit down and peck out a few words to say how great you are. Okay, that means a lot. We actually had a restaurant concept that was a client for years and years. And it was a breakfast concept. It was a locally owned, very small. I think they probably had like 30 seats in the whole restaurant. And, started by a woman who actually was a nurse. And she got into the food industry. God rest her soul. But she got into the restaurant industry, and she would go around to every single table and say, "How's it going? How's your food? Do you love it? If you don't love it, I'm gonna make you something. No, I'm gonna make you something else. Let's make it something." She would make sure every person was so happy, and she would personally say, "It would mean the world to me if you would go on TripAdvisor or Google or Yelp and write us a review." And people would do it because of the level of personal attention that she gave. Now, and they were in a huge tourist area, and they were the number one breakfast restaurant on TripAdvisor with like thousands upon thousands of reviews. And I will say, when I look at a restaurant or something like that, or a business, or items on Amazon, I do look at the reviews. I look at how many reviews they have. I look at how high the reviews are. And then I actually read some of the reviews because, and I do like to read the bad ones too. I think it's all data. And sometimes the bad ones, on Amazon will say like, I gave this a 1 star because the package was open when I got it. And you're like, well, that doesn't speak to the efficacy of the item, but whatever. And also, maybe we need to even go down the rabbit hole of, an episode on reviews, because there's definitely review stacking, people paying for reviews, especially on Amazon. But let's get back to the purity of this question. Reviews are transcend every industry, and hearing what people say means a lot. So if you're asking people for a review, number one, ask. If you verbally ask someone and say it really heartfelt, just like she did, like, it would mean the world to us if you would take, 3 minutes and write us a review. And to go even further, little secret tip, trick, the reviews that just give stars and don't say anything get dropped to the bottom. So if you can even, I say this to people, if you can even just type 1 sentence or 2 sentences about something, you know what I mean? Because even if you give us a 5-star and don't say anything, it drops to the very bottom. So it would mean the world to us if you would write us a review. And go a step further, y'all. Make this easy on people. Okay, first of all, you're asking them to do a favor already. And then you're going to say, just like, go do it on Google. Well, the chance of them finding your Google and writing it in the right place, blah, blah, blah. Make it easy on people. Give them a freaking QR code right then and there, where you're like, all you have to do is scan this and leave us a review. Take 2 minutes and write 1 to 2 sentences. Gosh, that would just really mean the world to us. And people will do it. Or you got to incentivize them. You've got to incentivize people to write reviews. And I know that's a little, again, when you get into certain industries, you got to be really careful about incentivizing reviews with any level of payment. Or, you could do something like, somebody's going to win these AirPods, and, that way. But if every person is paid for their review, in certain industries, you do get into a, typical scary, infraction type thing. So pay attention to that. But I think that reviews not only mean the world to the consumer's brain, but now in the AI space, reviews are huge. because AI is a little different than Google. Google, when someone searches, Google goes through a checklist of A, B, C, and then they decide who pops up. AI goes and scrapes and looks for sentiment. So not only are they looking at the reviews, but AI will start pulling things out of the reviews, and it uses that to inform and answer the questions. Okay. So now more than ever, reviews are highly important. Now, let's talk about one challenge though. Obviously, they're important, but for those businesses out there that don't want to do anything, they're like, we're going to be this grungy hole in the wall restaurant with excellent food, and somebody's going to post it and share the stuff. I mean, half the time they aren't even doing social media. They're just other people are posting for them. Sorry, I needed some espresso. More brain power. Other people are posting for them, and they're actually just depending on other people's posts, which I think is insane. But there are businesses that try to rely upon reviews only, or hoping that other people will share them and make them go viral. But here's what I say in response to that. There's a little thing called discoverability. Even if you have 5,000 five-star reviews for your restaurant, chiropractic office, whatever it is, if people don't know you exist, they'll actually never get to Google you to see those reviews. You know what I mean? You're not just going to magically pop up out of thin air in front of somebody. You still have to work on discoverability so that people find you, and then they go, oh my God, they have 5,000 five-star reviews. So that's the only caveat for those businesses out there that are like, we're not going to do any advertising. We're not doing social media. We're not doing email marketing. We don't even need a website. Who cares? And they're just trying to rely on reviews. How are people going to know you exist? And y'all know I preach this. Doesn't matter how excellent your practice, your service, your product, your restaurant, whatever. It doesn't matter how talented you are or how insanely amazing the business is. If people don't know you exist, you will never survive. And I also get a lot of old school people that want to just go off word of mouth. Like, no, word of mouth, word of mouth. And I'm like, well, remember this. Word of mouth has changed significantly. Social media is now a form of word of mouth because people don't see each other and interact the way they used to. You got to think about it. Like, we all work remotely now, not all of us, but massive amounts of people work remotely now. We order our groceries online. We order clothes online. There's just not as much. We're ordering takeout and DoorDash to come to our house now because we don't want to go sit in a restaurant. Like the opportunity for human interaction is so much lower. Like, in person, human interaction is so much lower that why would you ever take a gamble on just relying on word of mouth? That's insane. Okay. And like I said, social media kind of is a word of mouth thing now. I heard because so and so posted, I heard this. It's really the new word of mouth, is what it is. And I think word of mouth is still powerful. And I still think there are people that share about the things they love and the brands that they enjoy. But I would say if you want your business to rely on word of mouth and just reviews, I would equate that to crawling through quicksand, because yeah, maybe you will make, a little, you may get there. You can crawl. It might take you a lot longer, but you will. I mean, eventually you'll make some ground. But why would you crawl through quicksand when you could stand up and run on solid ground? And there are so many options for running on solid ground, like social, advertising, email, having a freaking website. So, I mean, I think again, the whole episode is in fun, it's in jest. If I had to pick one thing, I do think the power of reviews can drive a business and hurt a business. That's my pick, right? That's I would say more than anything else, that one tactic alone can really be um, a huge influence in a positive or a negative direction. So, same question to y'all. one marketing tactic alone, what would you do? What would you say would move the needle to make a business successful if you could only select one form of, I guess a review isn't a tactic, but going after reviews is a tactic, you know? So, would love to hear from y'all. Love to hear your take on this. The power of reviews. Maybe we do a whole episode on that because again, I think there's a strategy to getting reviews. And also, really making it, time effective, you know? So, I need more Nespresso, obviously. So, all right, y'all, thank you for tuning in. We will see you on the next episode. As always, would love to connect with y'all. It's the Whitney Lee on Instagram, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. It's Whitney Lee. Y'all have a great week, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Brand Rescue. For more practical marketing and PR support, head to yourmarketingheroes.com.